Hi, my name is Lori, and my son Jake just turned 4 this month. His diagnosis include PDD, apraxia, sensory integration disorder, and mixed receptive expressive language disorder. I believe that the cause of his issues happened when he had a hepatitis A vaccine, right when he turned 2, in between 2 bouts of strep throat. And he also had the stomach virus that month. And after that is when I started to notice sensory issues about 6 weeks after that. And we lost any words that we did have. And slowly, little by little, he slipped off into his own little world before I realized what was happening. Um, we have been seeing Dr. Newbrander since May of 2014. Currently, we do many supplements each day, daily B12 injections. We are currently also doing LDA shots, and we are also going to be starting HBOT hopefully in the next month or two. In addition, we follow a gluten casein free diet where we found that Jake was allergic to many foods. So we've taken those foods away also, things like bananas, broccoli, things that we didn't even know we were giving him, that he was allergic to. So we've removed all those foods, and over the past few months, we've seen many improvements in Jake. He's definitely coming out of his shell. He's trying to repeat words more often, although he has trouble initiating a conversation with us. He currently goes to school about 20 hours a week. And we also have therapy every single day, Monday through Friday, after school. Probably an additional 9 to 10 hours of therapy, including intensive speech therapy with prompt, sensory integration with his occupational therapists. We also do music therapy once a week, which is really helpful in helping him process uh, sentences and fill in words. Finally, he's filling in words to songs, which is great to see. Over the past few months, we've also seen him be able to repeat phrases such as I love you, I want more. So usually he could do these things on command. The big thing is him initiating it. We've also seen him become more interested in playing with his siblings and playing with toys more appropriately. He used to hoard toys, but now we don't really see that behavior anymore, and he's trying to play with toys more appropriately. We decided to do the SAVE program because Jake's sensory disorder seems to really interfere with his ability to learn and to sit and focus. So we like the idea that this program incorporates having the senses work together, auditory, visual, vestibular. So we decided to give it a try. I definitely have seen progress with Jake over the past few months, but we were ready to push him to the next level. So we thought that this would be a good program for him to try. Is a little nervous about taking away the iPad and TV because usually that's how we wake up in the morning. He takes his half hour in the morning, watches TV, and again at night, that's how we wind down the night. And he'll play on the iPad throughout the day. Um, but it actually was pretty easy to take it away. He asked for it a total of 3 times the week we were doing it, and we just uploaded a whole bunch of music. He enjoys music. So we have music playing throughout the house, sometimes classical, kids songs, current music he likes to. Um, and he's often found trying to fill in words and dancing around the house with his siblings. So it actually was very, very easy to take those elements out, which was shocking to me. But it forces him to interact with us more and play with his toys more instead of going off into his own world watching TV or being on the iPad. So it actually was very easy, and I'm also incorporating it with my other children. Not to the extent that we're doing with Jake, but we definitely have cut down on electronics in the house. Um, for the first day, Jake was a little unsure of what we were doing, but he climbed into the chair. I didn't have to sit with him. He cried maybe for 20 minutes the first session, and then he had no problem looking at the light. And, he would get antsy and a little uncomfortable, but he did really, really well. The same thing in the afternoon session, about 20 minutes of just being upset. I would give him a lollipop or a little snack just to distract him, just as long as he was looking at the light, which for the most part he did. I'd say 90% of the time he was looking at that light, and there were moments that you can almost see where something was clicking together for him, where he would watch the light intently and listen to the music. We had no problems with headphones since he likes music anyway, so that was easy for us. The Tuesday sessions went much better. He only got a little uncomfortable towards the end. Still no problem looking at the light as long as he had a lollipop or a little something to hold. There were little light up fish in the room, which he liked, so we gave him those. On the third day, the morning session went really, really well. However, the afternoon session got off to a bad start. I think he was tired. Later on, I learned that he had had a pulsating headache, and his eyes even looked funny when we were done with the session. So he cried for, I'd say, at least half that session, but he was still looking at the light. So that was a little bit harder, but we got through it. um, his therapist did tell me when we went to therapy that night they could feel they could pick up on energy, um, and they could actually feel the pulsation in his head. So I think that's why the afternoon session didn't go so well. And they performed some craniosacral therapy on him to release his headache. And once we did that, he seemed happier and was able to do some activities with them. The remainder of the sessions, Thursday and Friday, went great, just with a little bit of problems here and there where he wanted to get up, and he even got silly a little bit. But he did really, really well. So it is very doable for a kid that has trouble sitting still. He definitely We noticed many improvements in Jake over the 5 days of the SAVE program. On the first day, we took him to music therapy in between sessions, where the music therapist noted that he was able to follow directions better. His eye contact was significantly better. He was filling in words to songs, and she said, I didn't even think he could say those words. Words like farewell, so long, and many other words and phrases. But she said he was very engaged. When she would tell him to pound on the drum, he would do it, and when she said to stop, he would. He was playing the piano with her, so he was very engaged throughout that session. Later on that night, he seemed very happy. He asked for TV once and didn't get mad when we told him no. He took a bath with his sister, and he was playing with her, splashing with her, and then he'd smile and look in her face and wait for her to do something silly back. So it was great to see him engaged like that. The next day, we noticed still great improvement in his eye contact. It was just different. It's been getting better over the months, but it was just different. He seemed very connected when he looked at us, and he was just very happy, very smiley, and just running through the house and having fun, running through the house with his brother and following him. Just very much more engaged. I don't know if that has to do with not having TV or not having access to the iPad. It kind of forces him to interact with us more. That night, we had taken him to speech and occupational therapy, and both went very well. But in speech therapy, the therapist wanted to play ball with him, catch with him. And usually this is kind of like a job for Jake. He doesn't like to do that. I have to facilitate throwing, and then he'll do a little bit, but you can see he can't be bothered with it. But during this session, he actually wanted to do it. He was throwing the ball back and forth to her on his own and was laughing and playing and sustained it for, I'd say, a good 3 minutes of playing catch with her. He also was talking a lot for her, answering her questions, laughing, looking right in her eyes. So she definitely noticed improvements. He was singing head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and he was able to touch his toes, which that motor movement is really, really difficult for Jake. And he was so proud of himself that he's able to, and still able to touch his toes on command. On the third day, he had slept at my mom's the night before, and she said when he woke up, he did not ask for any electronics. He did play with a remote control car, which usually Jake has no interest in. So he did that. He wasn't hoarding any toys. Usually he'll make like little piles of toys or people. He hasn't been doing that at all. He's copying more of what we say, we noticed on that day. He played in the bath with his brother, and his brother was dumping water over his own head, and Jake was laughing hysterically. And then when Derek went to dump it over his head, he squinted his eyes and shut them and was laughing and giggling and splashing with him, and was so happy that his brother was in the bath with him playing. On the fourth day, which was Thursday, we were on our way to the session. He had a lollipop in the car, And I went to take it from him because I didn't want him to have a lollipop in the car. And he actually pulled his hand back for me and told me no. And I said, well, what do you want? Do you want the lollipop? And he said, I want the lollipop. So we let him have it. Um, and he kind of, defied me a little bit, but it was good to see because that's a normal kid behavior. We could also see he was more interested in wrestling and playing. He was running across the kitchen, hugging myself, and then running to my husband, hugging him. And this went on and on for a little bit. He was just having so much fun. We also noticed that he was interested in the vacuum, where we would chase him with it, and he would look back and wait to see if we were coming to get him and just laugh hysterically and then hop up on the couch to get away from it. So that was nice to see. Also, in that day, I forgot to mention is that my dad was with us, and Jake and I were left Dr. Newbrander's office, and we were a few steps ahead of him. And Jake actually stopped in his tracks, looked back for my dad, waited for him to catch up, pushed his leg, and then grabbed his hand, and then went and pushed the elevator button. Which, those are two new things for us. He wanted to make sure my dad was with us, and he usually has no interest in pushing the elevator button, and he became interested in it. Um, on the last day, we definitely were getting a little delirious, all of us, including Jake. And we noticed that he actually developed a little sense of humor. He kept covering his eyes during the session with his hands. So then I held his hands and I said, you have to look at the light. And he looked right in my eyes, he giggled and squinted them closed. And this went on for a few minutes where I would yell at him and he would hysterically laugh that he was doing, something he shouldn't, which I don't think I was ever so happy to see one of my kids defy me, because that's normal kid behavior, and he actually got it, that I wanted him to do something and he was going to bust me a little bit and not do it and laugh about it. So that was really great to see. And he continued to play in the bath with his brother that night, and he actually waited for his brother at the top of the steps to make sure his brother was coming in the bath with him. It was just really great to see him interact with his siblings and how happy his siblings were that he was just like a part of us again, like he used to be. Um, we ended our week. It was just myself and my boys. My husband and my daughter were at softball practice. So Jake wanted to go to bed, and I said to Derek, come on, let's go upstairs and we'll lie down with Jake. And Jake was so happy that Derek climbed into bed with him, and he actually reached his hand out for Derek's as they were lying next to each other. And both of my boys fell asleep together, holding hands, which was just an amazing moment for all of us. So it was just what I've wanted for my boys. There's only 16 months between them, and this is what I want. I want them to have a relationship, and I'm kind of seeing a little beginnings of it. We have a long way to go, but I really feel like this program helped. I'm definitely noticing he's a little more sensory right now. He's craving input with his hands. I also noticed that on 2 of the days he had interrupted sleep because of his headaches, but it was very easily released with craniosacral therapy, which the therapists have taught me how to do it. So it's great that I can use that tool to release his tension in his head. But those are just a few things that I did notice. He's a little hyper, but he also, I think, is firing off with language, and we're starting to get that social piece. So it makes sense that his sensory system is going to be off for a little bit. I'm hoping as the weeks progress that he's going to just kind of learn to regulate a little bit better. But as far as positive and negatives, the positives are definitely outweighing the negatives as of now. Like I said, the negatives are just the headaches, craving sensory input with his hands a little bit, a little hyper. But he definitely is increasing communication. He's more interested in us. He's playing with his toys better. We're not hoarding them. He developed a little sense of humor. So we could deal with the little roller coaster of emotions or a little hyperactivity for a few weeks. I think it'll probably die off. But overall, the program I've seen as being successful, and I'm hoping we continue to see the results as the weeks progress. And what I would be interested in is seeing in 6 months, I don't know if it's possible, of repeating the program and seeing if we can push him even further along. So I thank Joe and Dr. Newbrander and Rick for all their help this week. Definitely saw some great results with Jake, and I look forward to reporting some more positive things in the next few weeks. Thank you.